Hi guys, so we know we're into strange times when the voice of reason in the room is a Conservative MP. Now, Damian Green is going to respond to Ian Paisley Jr., who is a member of the Democratic Unionist Party. Now, two things about the Democratic Unionist Party. They voted for Brexit, they campaigned for Brexit, but they also campaigned against the Belfast Agreement or the Good Friday Agreement back in 1998. But they're happy to invoke the Good Friday Agreement in order to attack the Northern Ireland Protocol. Another problem with the DUP is that they want the Northern Ireland Protocol dumped, but they haven't actually provided an alternative to it. They just want it thrown in the bin. They don't care about the consequences, which makes them sound very Brexiteer. But let's hear the exchange that took place.
First of all, he says he wants to support the Belfast Agreement or Good Friday Agreement. The protocol systematically undermines the Belfast Agreement.
How does it do that? In what way? It's there to protect the Good Friday Agreement.
Because it takes away the issue of consent from the people of Northern Ireland.
No, you still have consent. There will be consent in 4 years' time. The Northern Ireland Assembly will be able to vote on whether they want to continue with the protocol. Now, the problem for the DUP is that they know that they will not have a majority. There will not be a majority in support of removing the protocol in 4 years' time. So that's why they want it thrown in the bin now. They don't care about consent. They know that the consent is against their position. That's why they're invoking consent here. That's why they're trying to undermine the protocol, because they know they will lose. If there was a vote held today, they would lose. And as Northern Ireland adjusts to Brexit, remember, this is about Brexit. This is not about the protocol. This is all the consequence of Brexit, something that Ian Paisley voted for. But as Northern Ireland adjusts to the consequences of Brexit, businesses align closer to the Republic of Ireland and the rest of the EU, there will be a greater amount of support for maintaining the protocol. The protocol is not perfect. The protocol is extremely problematic, but there is no alternative. And when you actually ask people like Ian Paisley or Brexiteers in England, what is the alternative? They have nothing.
So if you support the protocol, you can't say you're endorsing the Belfast Agreement.
The protocol is there to avoid a hard border on the island of Ireland. Ian Paisley Jr. wants to put a hard border on the island of Ireland. Now, he's not come out explicitly and said that, but what is the alternative? The other two alternatives is to have a border in the Irish Sea or to have the entire UK as a whole inside the single market and the customs union. But Ian Paisley doesn't want either of those things. There are only three options. A border on the island of Ireland, which would break the Good Friday Agreement. A border in the Irish Sea, which there's no reference to it in the Good Friday Agreement. Or all of the UK within the single market and the customs union, which wouldn't undermine the Good Friday Agreement. But Ian doesn't want to choose any of those options. And he doesn't actually want to present an alternative to those three options. I would love to hear an alternative, but there isn't one.
Point which is missed many, many times by our commentators. And secondly, he says that it has to be changed by agreement. Under the protocol itself, please read it. Section 16, it can be removed unilaterally if there is societal, economic or political upheavals caused by it.
Part of the agreement, Ian. You can suspend part of the agreement if there are these problems. And it's for a limited amount of time. And it's designed to allow both sides to hammer out a new agreement on that particular point. It doesn't invoke... Article 16 does not suspend the entire protocol. It's a safety measure to avoid suspending the entire protocol. Now, Ian either doesn't understand this or he's pretending not to understand this. And it's a bit disappointing that the BBC don't intervene and correct him on this. Look, correcting a politician when they make a mistake is not taking sides. Ian Paisley has either made a mistake here or he has lied. Let's be kind to him be generous and say, look, he has made a mistake here, so you should correct him on that. Don't you mean suspending part of the protocol? Because isn't that what Article 16 is all about?
The Irish government was prepared to intervene unilaterally. Please find your spine and intervene for the sake of the people of Northern Ireland.
So now what he's doing here is, okay, he mentioned the Irish government. It wasn't actually the Irish government, it was the EU, but we'll let that pass. So he's complaining about the EU invoking Article 16, which it didn't actually invoke. It considered invoking. There's a difference between invoking Article 16 and actually thinking about it. There's a difference between buying a car and thinking about buying a car. Okay, but let's even be even more generous to Ian Paisley and say that the EU invoked Article 16. Does he have a problem with Article 16 being invoked, or he doesn't? Because now he's actually advocating for Article 16 to be invoked by the British government.
Because it was the people of Northern Ireland delivered Brexit for you with our votes.
The people of Northern Ireland delivered Brexit with our votes. So just think about it for a moment. I know I've talked about this before, but Ian Paisley's party voted for Brexit. They campaigned for Brexit. Because of Brexit, there is the Northern Ireland Protocol. And they are not happy with the Northern Ireland Protocol. Just think about it for a moment. If they had not campaigned for Brexit, if Brexit had never happened, there would have been no need for the Northern Ireland Protocol, and the position of Northern Ireland with the rest of the UK would not have changed. You can't blame the protocol when the core of the problem is Brexit, something that you, Ian Paisley, voted for and campaigned for, and even said in this exchange you continue to support.
Damian?
It's not a question of finding a spine and tearing up agreements. It would be much better if we can tone down the rhetoric and actually reach agreement. The Irish government, the EU, did think of invoking Article 16, but then didn't. Had an outburst of common sense. And
they did invoke it and had to...
No, Ian, they didn't invoke it. They considered invoking it. What happened was the EU considered invoking Article 16. Within a few hours, the Irish government, probably in a few minutes, the Irish government got on the phone and said, no, don't do this. This would be a stupid idea. And I called them out at the time and I said, no, this is a bad idea. But I said, it's a storm in a teacup at that time. I said, this is not going to be, the EU is not going to invoke Article 16. They didn't invoke Article 16. They considered it. They were advised against it by the Irish government, somebody who knows more about the situation than perhaps the EU do. And what did the EU do? They took that advice on board and they did not invoke Article 16. Now, juxtapose this with what's happening in the UK. Boris Johnson is being advised by Brexiteers and the DUP to invoke Article 16. And do what with Article 16?
They're uninvoked.
Well, but it didn't happen. It's still in operation.
It did happen. It happened for a period of 7. Okay, what was the consequence of that? They didn't actually invoke it, but let's say, for example, let's be even more generous to Ian Paisley. Let's say they invoked it for 6 hours. And what was the consequence? Did something change? No. So what's the point you're trying to make here?
Yeah, okay.
It actually happened.
Yeah, okay, but then it unhappened, and that was, as I say, an outbreak of common sense happened, and I would hope that we can.
It was then reversed. Oh, then did it have a consequence or not, Ian? It was if it was reversed, who was it reversed by?
We can achieve that again, because that will be hugely in the interests of everyone.
Right, can I bring in Margaret here? Because
Damon, I would appeal to you, I would appeal to your government. If you think you can tweak your way out of this, you're living in cloud cuckoo land. This has got to be fixed. And the only way it will fix is if the government has the courage that it claimed it had way back in October 2019, that it would deliver the Brexit for all of the people of the United Kingdom. So tweaking this isn't going to fix it. It's just going to cause more societal upheavals. So grasp the nettle now and fix it.
Fix what? What do you want fixed? It's like he's looking at a building And he's saying, fix the building. You said, well, what's the problem with the building? There's a problem with the building. What's the problem? Point out the problem. Point out how you would like us to fix it. He doesn't. We're back to the Brexiteer mentality, as I said before. The person who orders the pizza says, get me a pizza. Okay, what type of pizza? It doesn't matter. Just get me a pizza. And then you bring a frozen pizza and they complain about that. You bring them a pizza with pineapple on it, they complain about that. You bring them a picture of a pizza and they complain about that. Back to this mentality of people asking for something that they don't understand. Once we're back to this again. Ian Paisley, fix the protocol. What's wrong with the protocol? This is part of the protocol. Is it perfect? No, but it's a means to allow the peace in Northern Ireland to remain. It's a means to allow the Good Friday Agreement to be protected. Now, I wish the media were more honest and ask Ian Paisley, why do you care about the Northern Ireland Protocol? Why do you care about the Good Friday Agreement? You campaigned against it. Why are you so concerned all of a sudden about the Good Friday Agreement? Anyway, the European Union also responded to this rubbish. Let's hear what they had to say.
The EU and the UK agreed just over a year ago, after extensive negotiations with, I would add, Prime Minister Boris Johnson and David Frost, that the protocol is the best way to protect peace and stability in Northern Ireland. It provides a solution in Northern Ireland to the problems created by Brexit and the type of Brexit that the current British government has chosen. If we are to achieve our goals, then we need to implement this agreement. This is a shared responsibility, and we expect the UK to uphold its political commitment. We've been engaging intensively with our UK counterparts over the past couple of weeks. These exchanges have been constructive. We are making progress. And we will continue with this engagement to find solutions with the UK. The various unhelpful comments in the press will not prevent us from doing so. The EU and
what he's referring to also is the comments in the press by Lord Frost, who's saying that the protocol is not workable. The problem is not the protocol. The problem is Brexit. And as he said here from the European Commission, the problem as well is the type of Brexit that the UK government wanted. As I said before, there were three possibilities: to have a border on the island of Ireland, to have a border in the Irish Sea, or to have all of the UK within the single market and the customs union. And you heard from Brexiteer Ian Paisley that he wanted all of the UK to leave the single market and the customs union. But that was not going to happen. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot. I want to say a big thank you to all of my patrons. You ensure that this channel continues to exist. I'm eternally grateful for all of your support. If you join Patreon, you will receive instant access to our Discord server, where we have both audio and video chats. You can chat with me and other patrons, where we discuss important and non-important issues. Becoming a patron per month costs about the same as a large coffee, so why not check it out?